ready for me, sir? All right, so I just want to thank you for letting me be here. My name is Donald Wilcox. I'm your ECM Technical Sales Specialist, and with me I have Brian Marty, who will be on the business analytics side. I've got Shad Griffin, who also works with him, and in addition I have Dariba Macedo, who is on the information management side, and he'll be talking right after me. And then not here with us today, but gave us a lot of emotional support and really helped us through is David Warner. He's a technical sales specialist as well on the business analytics side. And we're here to talk about how we can help Fluber transform your business. So this is just a quick overview of the agenda where we're going to talk about what we think your challenges are, how we can help in the content and the information and business analytics side. And then we will wrap up with a demo so you can actually see some of your data in action. Now, the way that we perceived your goals and challenges is that you're looking for a robust system that lets you manage, collect, and act on your data. So it sounds like you have a growing amount of data based on, we actually have it there as one of the challenges, that you have a growing amount of data and you need a system that can really keep track of what you have and really make sense of it. So in addition to that, you also are looking for flexibility to be able to, a system that can adapt to your needs. And you're looking to know when an incident occurs real time or near real time, and you want to make sure that it's accurate and you want to validate the veracity of it. And some of the challenges that we've observed are you don't know when accidents have actually occurred. It's a self-reporting process, and so it's really up to the individual driver. And a lot of times you won't find out until you get sued, or if you're looking on social media networks, those are the only ways that you can really find out when you have pending litigation. And there's rising interest from local governments to regulate companies like Fluber more. So before I continue, is there anything else that you'd like to add to that?
That's a great summary.
So let's start with the content piece. So one of the interesting things that I heard through our discovery process is that you're there's not necessarily a process yet in place. You have ways of making sure that you can have people report information and understand what's going on, but you're really looking for a way to really make it almost a seamless process, so where there's little to no human interaction as possible. And so you're kind of jumping on, you're kind of trailblazing the trend here of making things automated, Internet of Things type approach to things where everything feels automated. And so when considering the content piece of your requirements, we've considered an approach that I think will kind of get you in that direction, and then with the analytics and information management portion of it, I think will get you to that finish line. So this is kind of the first piece of what we call our content navigator, and this is essentially the beginning of things. This is the first interaction you have from a content standpoint of what's going on. So we had a discussion. You mentioned body cam or dashboard cameras. You mentioned being able to upload data, maybe taking a screenshot or taking an image from your phone. This is kind of the beginning of where you can get access to that, and it's very robust, very user-friendly, and you can in fact there's a web-based application, and there's also a mobile application as well that lets you go and filter through based on whichever your needs are. So if you have legal has certain needs, then they can have a specific dashboard that they can access. And in addition, if you have drivers, or if you have external parties that need something, we're also able to accommodate those as well through a Content Navigator and also through our partnership with Box. Now, the big thing that I want to focus on here is the process part of your driver, your incidents. So one thing that I think will will really help you is having this process and having an incentive to actually use this process, because what we can do here by establishing a case or workflow or a process is, once you get something started, once you find out that there's research or litigation, there's an issue that you need to get started on when it comes to a driver incident, this is where you can really get started, and this is where you can start doing investigations. You can do them intelligently, you can automate them, and then you can also, going back to the analytics portions, you can actually understand what's going on and move forward from there. So what we're proposing here is a larger system that allows you to basically have an incident and have a variety of different documents that you can then populate that incident with. So you're not going back and forth between departments, and you're not having to go and figure out what's going on and talk to somebody to be able to find what you need. If you're looking for requests or letters or documents, you have all of that right here. You're able to run investigations with them, and you're able to analyze the data. And here we actually do have somewhat of an example here where we have somebody who has a damaged asset here, and that's part of their incident. And so that actually goes up here and in their navigator portion, where they can look at the image, but then they can also create request letters, and they can also publish documents there and create tasks for individual departments like legal to go further validate. Now that concludes my part about the content portion. What the next part is on the data, the information management side. So we have this content piece, and now we want to make it make sense, so that we can really get a bigger understanding of what's going on and really create actionable items from there. So Dariba is going to continue from here.
Thank you, Don. So we heard a lot of the Flubber goals and what you want to achieve in the future with analytics and stuff. One thing that called my attention is the way that you have your data today and how you acquire the data, sometimes depending on the manual processes and self-reporting, and also the fact that even though you can get this data, a lot of the times the data is not in the quality that you want. So the reality is, to achieve your new analytics goal, you have to actually create a better architecture with richer capabilities that will allow your users in the end, in your applications, to understand what is happening, what should I do, right? Get to all these capabilities. But to get to this analytics piece will only be as good as the data that you have, right? So what IBM has as a unique capability is the ability to manage all data, whether it's structured or unstructured, whether it's coming from the video cameras, whether it's coming from your existing application. So manage all data and store it in the cloud, in relational databases, any volume, and bringing that with the quality so you can do all this analysis. The reality is that today, with the capabilities that most companies have, we spend a very little time doing the analysis and a lot of time doing preparation. So that's where we can help. We want to provide you with the capabilities and the functionality that you give your users. The time that is wasted today doing all the integration, finding the data, and all that will be managed by our governance platform, and we will move that time into more analysis and more results. So from our governance perspective, we will provide you the tools that will allow you to analyze your sources, understand the data that you have, maybe see the rules that you want to implement, the data quality rules, and how they evolve over time. We will then, once you understand the data, we will then work with the data quality tools to cleanse the data, standardize, put it in a format that is suitable for the analytics, and finally control and monitor that quality over time. So that's the goal that we provide. It's creating this infrastructure that in the next piece you're going to see will give the data that the analytics tool requires. Any questions? So with that, we'll go to the next part, which is actually the demo and your analytic capabilities. Thank you.
Thanks, Maria.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brian Marty, and I'm a business analytics solution specialist. And as Dariba mentioned, as well as Don, there's certainly no doubt that a strong architecture really builds the foundation for insight and actionable items within an organization. We're to be able to make value of all that data that you own, get some good golden nuggets of information out of that data. So what I'm going to do today is show you how you can start to visualize that information. Put that information into more of a better context for your end users and really be able to empower end users to be able to gain more insight and be able to learn and gain knowledge from the data that you folks own in those systems there. So what we're really seeing kind of in the marketplace is a couple different key topics. One is governed data, and that's at your enterprise level in order to be able to disseminate that out to all employees wherever they're located, right? But there's also a strong need for self-service. And so what I'm going to showcase here for you real quickly is Watson Analytics. And this is really how we empower end users to have that self-service experience. So what they can simply do is we can come in here to Watson Analytics, and you can do a number of different things. You can simply drag and drop a spreadsheet up there. You can connect to different data sources. So if you have SQL Server, Oracle, DB, on-prem, off-prem, in the cloud, we can connect to all those different data sources, right? And so what I've done here is I've gone ahead and loaded up some data. Click off there real quick. And we're going to take a look at one of the capabilities here of just being able to explore that data. So one of the unique things about Watson Analytics is the fact that it comes up with an ability to interrogate that data. Now, me, as an end user, I don't have to come up with kind of my own biased opinion of how I want to take that direction. Watson Analytics is coming up with these key insights for me. So maybe I want to take a look at this by repair costs across different city types, as well as was there litigation or not. Litigation is one of those key items that we're trying to answer for you folks. So how does litigation compare to city types as well as repair costs? One thing that this allows me to do very quickly and very easily is maybe I want to take a look at this by different weather. So if I want to simply search in here by weather. And maybe take a look at this from a different perspective. So again, this really helps to kind of enable end users to have that self-service experience. It takes a lot of the tasks off of Eric's plate and helps, kind of put that in the power of the users there. So very quickly, very easily, I can take a look at a number of different ways in which I can analyze this information. Another benefit of this is that I can take a look at this from a predictive standpoint. So litigation is something that I'm trying to answer, and so I'd like to be able to determine what really causes litigation. And so here we're taking a look at a spiral prediction here. Here my target, I've gone ahead and set this as litigation, so we can see that I've got litigation there. But really I want to be able to take a look at this from a number of different angles, a number of different variables. You don't want to just kind of single this out, right? So I'd like to see really what is kind of driving litigation there. And ultimately what it comes down to is crash type as well as was the driver at fault. So here we can see that we've got a few different ways in which we can take a look at the crash types. We see that property damage is kind of the highest level there. But really, when we take a look at this from more of a percentage of litigation types, we see that, granted, fatal accidents is certainly going to have 100% of litigation there. But even when you get down into, right.
That's a valuable insight.
Right. But
If
even when you
somebody
get into,
dies, we get sued every single time.
True. But did you know that even 15%, or at least 20 to 15% of the time in personal damage or property damage or just injury accidents, there's going to be litigation as well. So you kind of have to factor that into your overall operations and take that into perspective. Now, what's kind of interesting as well, yes, sir.
I'm just curious. So you're telling us what are the predictors of litigation? Did you guys discuss, well, what do you do about that?
Right. So
What does that tell us? If we know what predicts litigation, is there anything we can do with it?
Right, so a couple different things that you could do with it is one, kind of maybe put together an HR program to make your drivers aware of, hey folks, this is common things that lead to maybe accidents or common things that lead to litigation. So let's try and avoid these situations. This puts us in a bad spot, puts us in a bad line. So something very quickly and easily that the HR program could put together. So just a kind of another visualization here real quick is that you see that same trend whether the driver was at fault, sorry, down here, or where they weren't at fault. Is you still get those common occurrences of litigation. So just something to take into perspective of, hey, we need to put in a better program, maybe put some communication and messaging together for our drivers. Now, that's a little bit about Watson Analytics. So what I wanted to do then next is take you into Cognos Analytics. So that Watson Analytics fulfills the self-service experience for the end users. Now, when you're ready to take this out to the enterprise, you can certainly do that by bringing that into Cognos Analytics. So Cognos Analytics is going to be your enterprise solution that delivers all your reports, your dashboards, metrics, KPIs. And so, rather difficult to see this a little bit.
Are you able to change the?
Yeah, let's go ahead and see if we can change that quick, right? I should say clear up. And we'll come in here, maybe just make this default.
CEO, you know a lot about cars.
Yeah. Can't help it. In the DNA.
A little better there?
Yeah.
Okay. At any rate, so what we're trying to see here, sorry for the screen resolution, but at any rate, you were asking for some of your key metrics, key KPIs across the top there. Number of vehicles involved, maybe the number of accidents, as well as certainly repair costs and certainly litigation costs. So what I think is kind of interesting is, once we take a look at this information here and say, yes, there was litigation. Okay. Beta, yeah.
Well, did your session turn on?
Potentially there. So what you can also do then, Clara and the rest of the folks, is on a mobile device,
application.
you'll be able to still be able to get to those numbers. So if you're on the road traveling across a number of different locations, you could certainly interact with this as well. One other thing that you could also potentially do is build out a dashboard for your mobile drivers. I'd like to be able to know how many riders I've had, how much money I've made, maybe the different locations in which I've been able to pick up my rider share, whether it's in the city or potentially weather conditions and so on and so forth. Maybe not. Okay. At any rate, so
It's searching. It's searching.
but from a driver perspective, again, I'd kind of like to know, what's my monetary value? How much value am I adding on a daily basis? Flat. There we go. So at any rate, maybe I'm picking up most of my folks from towns or potentially from cities, villages, as well as what kind of weather conditions am I typically driving. So this is a little bit about descriptive analytics. It allows me to see kind of how I'm doing, why, what's happening, where, who, when, what, where, being able to answer all those questions, right? But,
You have 20-minute time.
oh, okay. But at any rate,
I stole some of his time.
what we really need to be able to do is be able to kind of get a forward-looking view. So I'm going to hand it over to my partner here, Shad, and he's going to be able to kind of talk us through maybe some predictive analytics here real quick in order to get a better forecast of maybe what litigation costs might be out into the future.
Thanks, Brian. My name is Shad Griffin. I'm the SPSS guy, and today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about SPSS and some of the predictive analytics capabilities of the IBM portfolio. One of the things that we discovered in the discovery session was that you're having an issue with litigation, and one of the problems that you expressed to us was getting ahead of it. It seems like it's going up every year, trying to understand how much we can expect in the coming year, and what we can do about it to prepare. All right, so we want to get ahead of the litigation, understand how much can we expect to have. If it's possible, can we look at what we've seen in the past to predict how much we're going to have in the future? SPSS allows you to do that. It allows you to understand the past and reasonably predict the challenges ahead, which sounds exactly what you guys are looking for. This is a stream. This is what SPSS actually looks like, and this is a stream of data. And what we're doing here, the data set that you gave us was actually accident level data. And what I was able to do was import that into the modeler tool, aggregate it up by month, and then build a model to predict that accident information going a year into the future. When you build a model in SPSS, well, SPSS, one of the great things about it is it's we have people with PhDs in rocket science using SPSS modeler, and we have people that don't even have a college degree using SPSS modeler. It's a great tool in that it serves a bunch of different types of users. It's a powerful tool. It wears a lot of different hats. In this case, this is what it would look like if you were actually going to build a model in SPSS. You have to tell it what you're trying to predict. That's it. I mean, my 6-year-old could probably do that. At least 7 now, actually. But yeah, it's very simple to use. And you can see that when you generate a model, you get something called a scoring node or a golden nugget. And what that allows you to do is it allows you to look at your model and compare to see how it's performing. It gives you diagnostics and information about the model that you just built, like we did as an example in the previous slide. In this case, we built a model predicting accidents by month, and we want to look at it to see, one, how accurate the model is, and two, how much we're going to have in the coming year. It's kind of hard to see here, but this is actually the blue line is actually refers to your actual litigation costs. The red line is a prediction. And you can see the model, just by a very simple model, we're able to, it's pretty accurate. The actually looks pretty good. I mean, we're tracking pretty closely. And one of the things that we're concerned about was what's going to happen next year. It looks like it's kind of trending up. So it looks like in the coming year, it looks like we're going to have more than we had in the previous year. And just looking at it at a slightly more aggregated view, here you can see that roughly we're expecting litigation costs to increase by about $700 million next year. So you can use that to plan for your budget for your lawyers and use it to, it's also a good case, we're talking about some of the mitigation. You know, maybe you can hire better drivers, maybe you can train your drivers better, maybe you can do different things. That gives you a number that you're going to have to deal with if you don't do anything. That's your BAU cost. If you can get less than $700 million, win.
But do we know what the drivers are of that?
Actually, well, I was going to say, actually, that was part of kind of the dashboard that we have in there. And within Cognos Analytics, if you want to get down to that level of granularity, there was actually 3 basic drivers that are 3 individual drivers that represented 75% of your overall litigation costs. One gentleman had nearly $1 million in litigation costs. The next one was nearly $900,000, and the third one from that was about a little over $400,000 in litigation costs. So those 3 individuals represented 75% of your litigation costs. So I would have a serious conversation with those folks.
Those drivers.
As far as, hey, what are you guys doing? Because it's not just the weather here, it's not just the city types. There's something either in your county or you themselves are driving up those litigation costs.
You are slightly over time, so I just want to make sure that we know that we should be wrapping.
Okay. I think we're pretty much done.
Okay.
I think
Any final?
Go ahead.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
All right. Can the managers, everybody